myself up there. Hello. This is a little overwhelming with all these right now, but I'm kind of digging it. Technology has really come a long way. So, okay, I think we've got everything set up here. Welcome, welcome, everyone. I may not be able to respond to everyone because I've got about 3 different, that's good, we're good. We've got 3 different platforms going right now. So I'm going to do my best to tune into each of you. And I'm just amazed that this all worked, to be honest with you. I'm kind of just relishing in the magnificence of technology right now. So we got some people I see in Facebook, YouTube. So for those who are waiting, let me see if I can put up something for you. There should be a little stream down there with ways to follow me. I would greatly appreciate any subscriptions to my YouTube channel. I kind of just reformatted a lot of this, so a lot of these different places, myliferemission.com, the 21 Days of Heartenings Facebook group, all those are kind of new. And in order to utilize some of the functions that they have, I need to get up my users. So if you could, I would really appreciate just liking and subscribing to those things that are kind of going down below. If you can't get it too quickly, the one to find the link to grab onto is the link tree, linktr.ee/Lisa Soul. And I have all my links on there. It's kind of easy to just keep up with it that way, so you don't have to go to different websites and everything. But welcome, welcome. I'm glad you are here with me, and glad to be here. Spirit literally thrust me into this place. So forgive me if it's a little bit bumpy here and there, because I got all of about 10 days to put this together, but apparently the messaging was very urgent and important to come through. So here I am, just listening to the guidance, and grateful for all of you who are here to listen with me. So my name is Lisa Sadowski, and I am a singer-songwriter, seeker in life, and I can be described as a survivor of the thing called cancer that did visit my body when I was a younger child. Give you a little bit of history. When I was about 4 years old or so, I did have the experience of a cancer called Wilms tumor, which visited my kidney and decided to, at that time, we needed to remove that kidney. And I was left with the one kidney in my body that had to go through about 7 years of chemo and radiation, amongst other things. So during my developmental years, there was a lot of taxing on the body. And while it was traumatic for a lot of those who loved me and supported me and were there for me, there also were some gifts that came from it. There was an inner strength that resulted from it that I don't know would have presented itself had I not experienced it. So I would not wish that experience on anyone. However, I am at a point in my life where I'm grateful to look at that, look at these things and see them for what they truly are. And grateful to be with you here today. And I do know that those experiences that I had as a young child did bring forth a level of spiritual discernment. And it did put me in a position where I was constantly using the exercise of discerning that which was spirit and that which was not. And so typically at this point in a broadcast, someone would be giving you their their qualifications for teaching something like this, or talking and sharing about something like this. And the only one that I think is really relevant here is my capacity for spiritual discernment. I literally have I have lifetimes of that, but this particular one that I can remember is just an experience of constantly being challenged throughout my life and being given the opportunity to literally check out, to be honest with you. I had no fear of death as a young child. It wasn't something I was afraid of because I was so in tune with the concept of being out of body. That's how I dealt with the sickness, and that's how I dealt with the loneliness at times, because I wasn't really, I was kind of away from the typical childhood upbringing that most people would be, because I was in the hospital most of the time. And the exercise of going within, because my mind was so slowed down from being so sick, it put me in a constant state of now. It put me in a constant state of being open to that which was guiding me, and that was of the highest love and light. So, of course, as a 4-year-old child, I didn't understand completely what that meant, but that basic template and that functioning through life with that basic premise is what brought me to where I am today, here today. So I just offered to you that these 21 days of crystal heartenings are going to be a journey that I invite you to open your heart to. And if you have any preconceived notions of your understandings of what crystals are, or have no understanding what it is whatsoever, and I speak about anything that goes over your head or is just something that just doesn't resonate, I say relish in what does resonate and release what doesn't. It's fine to just allow these truths to come through and go into your field if you resonate with them, and allow them to fall away if they don't. So that's the beauty of spirit, that each of us has our own individualized expression or understanding of these principles. But what I do know is my understanding is that my perspective, if you will, is that I've been using crystals for quite a while now. I bought the jewelry when I was a younger child and had the garnet and the amethyst and the quartz every now and then. And I'd read the little card that would say some of the background that would be with it. So I've had them around my life all the time. But as far as a true awareness of the capacity and the gifts that they bring us, I would say that probably came within the last 10 years of my life or so. As for actual visceral experiences with them, I would even say that it's been in the past 5 years or so that I've actually integrated them into my spiritual practice, and been able to tap into their wisdom as I've connected with them. And so there are quite a few messages that I knew that wanted to come through. And the reason they're wanting to come through right now is because crystals are basically a connection to the earth elements. They are one of the earth elements. And let me be clear that neither I nor these crystals, nor any avatar for the most part, really, I would say, is asking you to worship to a point where you forget your own sovereignty. Crystals are not asking to be worshipped. They are simply beautiful mirrors of the perfection that exists within us, and they are here to reflect that on us. They are living energy. They are living energy. They grow just like a plant would. They have a chemical reaction inside them that creates the different forms and the shapes that they become. And what's so beautiful about them is that, with the many different avatars that we have experienced, for those of you who resonate with Yeshua, with Jesus, with those of you who resonate with God, the word God, with universe, with Jehovah, with with any of these names that resonate with you, these are, before any of these avatars existed, before human flesh was even created, these crystals, these stones, were actually being formed and created before we were. And as we were created, as we did come into this earth, we utilized these stones and these rocks and these crystals to actually imprint the wisdom that we had learned back in the old ages, if you will. And to the point of, you think about something like the 10 Commandments, we were etching this information into the stone. And anyone who is a follower of those teachings of Jesus would be able to know that there was a divine guidance that led Moses to actually put these into these stones. There was a divine guidance for many of these inscriptions that we see in these caves from our ancestors from way before time, that was guiding them to put this information store it into these rocks and these stones and these crystals. And so much so that this information was going to be for all of eternity. There's no way they, and within the human confines of our brain, there's no way they could have understood um, the enormity of what was going to happen with these inscriptions coming into the future. So we literally have scientific evidence when we look at geologists who are looking to find what different times of the Earth's involvement happened. They go deep into the Earth and they look into the layers of these stones of the tierra of the Earth that has been developed over these years, and they get their scientific answers as best they can as to what they do. So we've been using these things for a long time as sources and libraries of wisdom. And as the years have gone by, we have also imprinted our human constructs upon them, our human programs upon them. Yet these are divinely created. These are created perfectly as they should. Even the crystals, and especially the crystals with inclusions inside of them, you see the different colorations. Those each have wisdom within them. And we are the ones that put the expectation of them needing to look perfect or look a certain way. So, but when we can tap into them for the perfection that they are, there are some beautiful gifts there. And I think the reason that they're coming forward right now, back to why we're doing the 21 days right now, is because we're coming to a point where many of the avatars that we have relied on, and there are very many constructs of that. We have everything from, like I mentioned before, we've also got angels and even saints in certain religions that they rely on for some of this information, right? That we consider sacred as being disseminated directly from source, depending on which teaching you come from. And all along, like I mentioned before, the crystals were there. They've been here the whole entire time, just storing and gathering data. And what's happening is we are going at a collective level, we are growing and evolving into a new state of being. Our physical bodies are shifting. We are changing at a cellular level to keep up with the environment and all that is happening. We all know that the Earth is changing, whether you agree on what it is that's causing it. It is changing, it is evolving. And with it, these crystals that have typically held information for the future are evolving with it. But the information that's in them right now is not necessarily relevant to today. They're storing information just like they did in the past that will be relevant to us for eons in the future and for our generations to come. And so if we tuned into them earlier in our life, or we just kind of didn't pay attention to them, or if our ancestors even tuned into something there, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly growing. And we're being given the opportunity right now to connect with them and get this new updated wisdom. It's not really new. This is everything that's been in the universe all of time. It's just that we're at a space and time where our minds can absorb this information. So the crystals are calling. The crystals are calling. And when I typically tune in to these, and I work with a lot of different, when it comes to the archangels. Like I said, I have a beautiful relationship with Jesus and the Christ consciousness. I was brought up in a structured religious upbringing, and I'm grateful for that foundational principle of what that means to have that true sense of faith. And as I've grown, I've understood the concept of spiritual accountability. And I believe that that's what these crystals are coming forward with a message of, is a message of understanding that we are now at a point where we are to be accountable for our spiritual expansion, our spiritual evolution. Everything that we take in, everything that we decide to own as truth, it is important to tune in with within the depths of ourselves to confirm and know within our gut, if you will, that this is really real truth. This isn't something that we have been fed or been told to believe. This is something that we know within a shadow of a doubt is really our truth. And we haven't really been challenged with that before, because we have many mechanisms, i.e. governments and ruling organizations, if you will, that are coming in and offering an opportunity for us to just follow along and go with the flow. And what's happening now, as we've seen over this past year alone, is that even with something like a virus coming out, we've got different entities that we typically would rely on to fix everything for us, are even there saying, we don't know what to do right now. All we know how to do is to protect yourself and to stay home, to take care of ourselves, etc. And so we're being challenged to really tune into what that really means and what our truth is that exists within ourselves. And the beauty of what the crystals have to offer is an opportunity to exclude every other type of container or restriction or boundary that we've ever heard before, and tap into pure essence, pure emotional expression. Because anyone who is kind of, as you go into meditation or you tune into these expansive realms, anyone who's really spent time with this, you understand that there's no hierarchy, there's no Bible in when you're out of body, right? Everything is us and source, and that is it. And so because we are still in the physical body and wanting some sort of a visceral experience, but yet wanting to connect to spirit that we believe is outside of ourselves, but actually exists completely within ourselves. These crystals offer us an opportunity to be a portal to that divine essence. And with no expectation, no titles, no even labels. We're going to go through these different crystals that have names for them. But what is actually being brought forth right now is a release of the old paradigm of what we believed that they were here to be, and to really tune in on a personal level and connect with that wisdom and ask it, what is in it for me to know? What is it for me to be moved by? And what is it for me to act upon? These truths that exist, this wisdom that exists within these beautiful crystal energies that we have around us, it is only the highest truth. It has not been tainted by human programming. This is a straight, solid clarity and beautiful truth that is available for us, and untarnished. So, however, that said, it is evolving. So if you've tuned into crystals before, I would ask you to go back to ones that you maybe have not tuned into again for a while, and you'll be interested to see what comes through. For me, I was given that there are actually, with some of these crystals, there are some essences that are wanting to be connected with it, whether it's with the oils or with the actual plants themselves, that are kind of working together. I've also been guided that certain avatars, whether it be archangels or certain different levels of that, have been attached to or work closely with these crystals. And so I just kind of wanted to give that little bit of a premise. I was going to try and keep it within an hour. I'm going to do my best to make sure I get through this. But every day we're going to cover a new crystal. I want to make sure I got all my little notes in here as well. I can't really see comments right now. So I see that there's some stuff up here, but I can't really respond to it yet. So if you do send some questions, I will get back to you as soon as possible, probably being after each of these transmissions. Okay, so let's see. First of all, what I did want to cover was the name 21 Days of Crystal Heartenings. I had so many questions about what I was supposed to call this. And the word heartenings eventually came in, and I, to be honest with you, kind of dismissed it. I looked up the word heartening, and it means literally to lift the spirit. So this heartenings sounded like a cute little, addition to turn it into a noun, or if you want. But the meaning behind it was actually heart openings. When I asked a little bit more about it, that this is 21 days of crystal heart openings. It's an expansion of the heart, and it's an understanding that this is where we will be communicating from in the future. This is where all of our languaging will begin. We're finding that some people are having trouble communicating. We have these conflicts going on. And the reality is that our words that we are using are not necessarily matching the emotional undertone within it. I mean, you can say, I love you to someone and feel the body language that comes with it. And you can also say, I love you, right? And feel that emotional undertone. And what supersedes the words themselves are the emotions that are behind it. So, and this is why a lot of what's happening right now with languaging, with communicating with each other, is we're relying on these words. We've studied them for so long, went to school to learn your particular language and maybe even a couple other ones. Transcripts and books have been evolved over years as languages have changed, and still yet we have this this capacity to or not, lack of capacity of full communication. So the crystals are actually tuning us into our heart and our heart center energy wise, and asking us to communicate from there. And when we do, we can connect to these earthly perfection items that are around us. So this is going to be a series of journeys to go deep within our heart. And anyone who knows me knows that I love to go deep about things, maybe to a fault to some extent. But so this is all, I'm all about this. Now, what they did give me was three concepts, and we're going to use this format throughout each of these days. They wanted us to look at higher, deeper, and wider. They wanted to take a look at us, and they were welcoming us into this crystal queendom, as my beautiful spiritual sister says, the crystal queendom. To look at things from a higher perspective, from a deeper perspective, and from a wider perspective, and going with this theme that that languaging is going to be, words coming out of our mouths is going to be less and less important. Even these terms, higher, deeper, wider, are to be looked at. So what they said was, we're going to start with the concept of higher, and I will go through each of these each day for each crystal. So, which, by the way, I left a picture of the first one today, the beautiful Celestite. Look at how much sparkle it's got today. It's like ready to talk, y'all. It's so beautiful, a beautiful bluish, baby blue tone, angelic by nature. Literally, with the name Celestite, true to its name, it does assist in that connection to the higher realms. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the higher, deeper, and wider. But for today, since this is the first day, I do want to just kind of go over what these crystals are referring to with regards to these terms. So with regards to higher, the word that they were using was actually tap more into the concept of release. So when we're looking from a higher perspective, and the reason that the word higher doesn't necessarily work in this situation is because there is no hierarchy when it comes to the now moment. There is no hierarchy when it comes to pure source. Source is omnipresent, omnipotent, and it's all around us, always, in its fullness. So there is no higher, lower, in between. All of the different vibrations and frequencies are sacred, and actually have this. This may kind of rub some people the wrong way, but it does actually, each of these different frequencies and vibrations have a noble purpose. There is a noble purpose to even the lower dimensions, the lower vibrations. I don't choose to live in those lower vibrations because what it would take to get to that divinity would be a lot more work. However, there are still noble lessons in each of the spectrum. There is no frequency or color within the entire spectrum that is not perfect by nature. And it's not perfect by our human interpretations, but it is perfect as it is, and has lessons in it. So which ones we choose to vibe with is up to us. But the lower vibrations, we're in a position right now where we're being confronted with many of these experiences, many of these lower vibrating experiences, fear, anxiety, frustration. Many of these experiences of a lower density or a higher density, if you will, but a lower feeling vibration and frequency, they are actually presenting themselves because we have not embraced them, or at least seen them for what they are, and have actually coming up to the surface to be revealed to us in a manner in which we are called to transmute. Meaning, energy can never be, and if the basic rule of science is that energy cannot be erased or deleted, it can only be transmuted. So if we choose to not see these lower vibrational things, and then, but they still need to be dealt with, they still exist, and they want to come up and reveal themselves to us. So when we're talking about the first aspect of the higher, higher, deeper, wider, the higher is equals release. And the question that we ask ourselves when we're contemplating the higher concept, this concept of higher, deeper, wider, for higher, it's what can be released so that more may be revealed. I've kind of put that out there for you to kind of jot down if you'd like to keep for the notes. But the concept of thinking higher and going higher, instead of, we could look at it as what can be released so that more may be revealed. And when we, in our minds, imagine going through those higher vibrations, stepping to a higher perspective, what we automatically do is, if we do not release that which is holding us down, if we do not release the higher density things that are kind of holding us down, the higher, what we call higher, the expression that wants to come through us, the individuality that we are, and the truth of who we are and why we're actually here, cannot reveal itself, because we're held down by old paradigms or old belief systems that have made us believe that's who we are. And we have set certain protections around us, i.e., certain personalities and personas. A lot of people, how many times have you been with someone and you say, I don't even know who they are anymore, right? It's because the person that we connect with, the person that the level of someone that is the soul that we are outside of this body, or I should say inside the body, but when we are no longer in this body, the essence of who we are doesn't exist in a persona. It actually, the thing that we connect with someone is that emotional footprint. That's why when someone makes their transition and goes into the next life, we can still feel them, we can still sense them. How can that be when they're not in body anymore? It is because we are remembering the soul print of who they are, and that never goes away. It is your soul print, your truth of who you really are, the perfection and wholeness and complete person and being that you are, can never be erased and always exists, whether you're in the body or without. And so when we're asking to go higher, we kind of think of that concept. We're being asked to release, or what can be released so that more may be revealed. What revelations are trying to come forth, and what do we need to release in order for those revelations to come forth? So the next one is deeper. We want to go deeper, and we want to be more rooted. So naturally, when I was asking about what this concept of going deeper meant, it was to root into the truth of who we really are. And again, so the higher would kind of ask you to tune into this, like I said, the higher vibration, the higher, what we understand to be a higher vibration aspect, and the higher perspective, taking the high road, if you will. This deeper is asking us to then take this information into our bodies, to literally embody it, and to allow it to run through that energy and that emotional undertone, to run through our body and actually root into this earth. And the reason we need to do that is because we are assisting with this higher consciousness, this greater consciousness that we have access to. By us rooting it into the earth, we then are able to share that and to raise the human consciousness and the concept of human consciousness as a whole. But when we're rooted in fear, when we're rooted in anger, frustrations, any of those energies, we are earthing that. We are grounding that into the earth that is asking to be elevated and raised to its next level of ascension. And it goes hand in hand. Our collective, the human race, if you will, our collective evolution and that of Gaia is very tightly correlated. And so, but why we are here in these bodies is to actually embody this information, this data, this beautiful wisdom that cannot be contained within the confines of our brains. And we are being asked to tap into that which we can, and as we get it, as it comes through, to fully go into the heart and allow it to resonate there and develop and grow. And then we root that into the earth. And in doing so, we are able to assist in the elevation of the human consciousness and of the earth. What that also does when we step into a place of embodiment is we call forth the legions of angels, archangels, of our avatars that have blessed us, of pure source energy to come through in whatever form it deems necessary. These avatars have collectively come to us because this is what our collective consciousness needed in order for us to contemplate it in our brains. And when we talk about now evolving beyond this and owning our own space and tapping into our own sovereignty, that all this is this alchemy that is alchemizing right now. As we do this, miracles can happen. Miracles which are an everyday occurrence in the field of source, but in our minds are perceived as a miracle. This is where we can change our cellular structure just by having beautiful intentions. And intention is key. Intention and emotions are what dictate where and navigate where our future lies. So when we're talking about the deeper concept, we're talking about rooting these truths, the real truth, and I would say truth with a capital T. It's there. It's calling for what truth is calling for deeper embodiment. What is it that is in our lives that we may not have integrated enough? What is it that wants to be integrated more and embodied? So when we're asking ourselves, how can we go deeper? Ask yourself, what truth is calling for a deeper embodiment? These are powerful questions that can really assist you and bring about an ease and grace. And when we talk about the crystals, we'll kind of get deeper into that. And then the last one is wider. So higher, deeper, wider. But naturally, when I say wider, we kind of think of like a wider perspective. The further out we go, you figure if you're just considering, looking at something, when we're looking at something from a macro point of view, we're focused right here. And the further and further we go out, the further from when we're looking at from a micro point of view, the further from a macro perspective that we go, the wider our perspective goes, evolves into. And when we start, for example, we're on the earth and we're looking at the things that are right in front of us. And then we go to the sky level and we're seeing a city or a town or even depending on how far we are, a country. And then if you go even further, then you see the earth. You've seen those videos that take you from, looking at something really tiny and then spanning all the way out past the universes. And we begin to see how minute, but yes, important we are in the whole scheme of things. And when the wider of a perspective we can take, then the more inclusive we can be. Meaning, many times at this right now, what's happening is a lot of exclusivity. We have a lot of segregation, groups kind of sitting in their own little corners and not being able to communicate with each other. And a lot of that is because the perspective has kind of been limited. Yet when we step back, the further back that we go, we now step into the realm of inclusion. We now step into the realm of seeing the bigger picture and understanding why certain things happen the way that they do. And we have no longer an attachment or are triggered by what is revealing itself to us, no matter what it is. So when we step into this place of inclusion and we take that wider perspective, the question that we can ask ourselves is, what opening wants to occur in order to assist with my spiritual expansion and ascension? It's a long way of asking, how can my heart open more? How can I function from a deeper heart space, a wider heart space? And how can I be more open-minded to that which I've typically kind of cut out of my reality? How can I expand my own spiritual path and even my level of ascension? And when we ask these questions, the answers that come through are life changing, and they also offer us an opportunity to no longer just focus here, but just by the intention, just by these three questions and these intentions that are being set, we instantly call forth. We don't even call it forth, they just bring themselves forward. These avatars, the source energy, this instantly, legions and legions of angels come to our aid because they have no choice but to do so. When we have this purity of intention, we set ourselves up for massive protection that we've never even imagined before. It's interesting how fearful we can get about things that, if we just set our clarity of intention, if we just make sure that we are in alignment with the purest and highest goals, if we really knew the legions of energies that come to our command and are literally waiting, eagerly waiting for the next command, it's overwhelming and it's beautiful. And I know what I do know is, speaking about these avatars, since I've gone through this already, through these three questions, this whole thing about the crystals coming through and the crystal heartenings, the moment I started tuning into this and getting these downloads, everybody showed up. I mean, Yeshua shows up. We got, everybody's in the house right now. And when they showed up, typically I ask to say their name or connect to them in a certain way, or I just show gratitude for their presence. And for this particular exercise, every single one of them that I have wanted to declare that they're in our field, every single one of them, I see them just kind of pushing the crystals forward and saying, this is the crystal show, basically. And it's a beautiful honoring of these libraries that these avatars themselves have actually imprinted the wisdom into. It's a little bit of a passing of the torch, if you will, saying you no longer need to worship or call upon something outside of yourself. You have resources to tap into these things at any given moment, at any given time, when you remember your sovereignty and understanding that these avatars, we've always been here. We never were not. We always have been here. And now it's time to go higher, deeper, wider into these understandings so that we can fully integrate these and embody them at a level to which now we can truly, this ascension cannot happen until we collectively agree on where we're going. We're kind of on a ship right now, and we got 20 million captains, and we got so many people trying to go in different directions. We do need to tap into the oneness that we are so that we can catapult ourselves towards the highest and the best that is in store for all of us. And when we can do that, we have free will. These fantastic avatars that are here to assist us and to be reminders of who we are. When it comes down to it, it is still our free will that dictates where we go. That's how much they love us. And so we're at a point where we need to really tap into that sovereignty. I went on a tangent again, so I'm telling you, this stuff just comes through. So let me get quickly to Celestite, the one of the crystal today. So I promise over the next couple days, I will try not to go so deep into all of this, but I really wanted to kind of set the precedent for the format that we'll have going forward. So with regards to Celestite, this beautiful blue stone, which I have it in, this is in the raw, like I showed you before, the raw format. You can actually see that it's part of the geode. So if you can imagine it in the ground, that they broke it open, and this is what's on the inside. Could you imagine being there when that actually happens? It's awesome. And then we've got, this is a tumbled version. It's a little bit more shiny, but you can just see the different energy. Celestite as a whole is more of a filling a room with beautiful energy versus a focused, not that it can't be focused. The Ohio Celestite is really good at honing in on particular, it's a different color Celestite. It's more like a golden yellow Celestite. Is better for something like that, for specific healing. But when it comes to setting the tone, clearing negative energy and all that, Celestite is beautiful for that. That's why it feels so calming. Serene is literally a word that is used to describe it. So here's just some more smaller geodes of it as well. So as far as the higher perspective is concerned, when we're talking about higher, what they offered, what Celestite kind of offers, I feel like I want to hold one right now while we're talking about this. When we're talking about going higher, right? Releasing what can be released so that more may be revealed. The Celestite is kind of offering to release attachment to belief systems that have kind of kept us in a lower density vibration, but also assists in opening the higher senses. So our angelic, it's a connection to the angelic, to perceive intuitive information. So this clears the room, like I said, of emotional negative energy. So when we're asking what can be released so that more may be revealed, we want to release that which is not of the highest love and light. And we want to release anything that is bringing in some negativity. So Celestite can assist with the higher aspect of this by assisting with clearing that that energy in a room or within ourselves. If we're feeling it kind of icky and just feeling a little bit kind of muddy, it's a beautiful, refreshing experience to have that for you. From a deeper perspective, asking what to be rooted in. So like I mentioned, serenity is a key, something that that identifies, anyone who uses a Celestite identifies with. It's a calming energy. So if we're looking for getting rooted, what truth is calling for a deeper embodiment? When we ask that question, Celestite offers an opportunity for patience. So typically when we are going through these things and we're asking what truth is calling for a deeper embodiment and what do I need to do more of, right? We can get caught up in the what do I need to do instead of focusing on the beingness that we are. So Celestite can offer us a beautiful opportunity to tap into calm, into serenity, into patience, patience can assist us to get these downloads. Because when we understand that the truth is always what it is, the truth always is truth. We can't alter the truth of who we are. We are perfect whole beings. We just forget that very often. Sometimes we're caught up in a perceived drama or trauma that can make us believe that we're never going to get back to that rooted, to that stillness, to that beautiful, peaceful place. So Celestite can tap us into that remembrance of the calmness and the stillness that we are. It is beautiful for assisting in sitting with meditation, and it's just a gorgeous energy. I'm just kind of mellowing me out right now, so I'm just enjoying it. And then from the wider perspective, so again, inclusion. Again, back to the room, you put a Celestite in a room and it just emits this beautiful energy of welcoming, of again, angelic protection. And I don't know anyone who can feel the energy of the angelics and not just relax and just feel serene in that. So these offer, they call in the protective energy by nature. Celestite will automatically call in these angelics so that we can relax through the process of spiritual expansion. sometimes spiritual expansion can feel a little rough and rugged, and especially when we're transmuting traumas or dramas in our lives that feel insurmountable. Um, the beauty of Celestite is that it can come in here and really tap us into the stillness that exists within us at all times, but we just sometimes forget. So, so that's my take on what the crystals have to offer. I would like to tune in at this point um, to spirit and allow it to come through. Again, this is a 21 days of crystal heartenings. So spirit wanted to come through um, to allow for a beautiful initiation, if you so like to an invitation to tap into this heart and tap into this energy of what's now actually what I've experienced is actually the heart and the solar plexus coming together and creating a really powerful mechanism within ourselves. And so I'd ask us all to just get comfortable in our chair, and I'll do um, a beautiful ceremony process, if you will, and we'll allow spirit to come through. I can already feel them. Oof. I'm gonna hold on to this one through this one. We can just get comfortable and take a deep breath, a breath of life. And when we breathe in, understanding that we are breathing in love, we are breathing in peace, we are breathing in bliss, we are breathing in pure essence, pure truth. Pure source. We take another deep breath. And as we exhale, we are releasing all that does not serve us. We are releasing that which maybe we've been holding on to for a little bit too long. We're releasing all that has come to be a presence in our life and yet has directed us in a way that's a little bit further away from the light instead of towards it. Now, the concept of release is very key. We cannot release that which we do not acknowledge. So I ask you to tap into anything that you're intent on releasing right now, something that spirit might have brought into you right now. I ask you to tap into whatever that is. It might be pain in the body. There's a physical pain. And just see it for what it is. Be the observer. You can even step into the higher aspect right now because we are going to do a release. Take the higher perspective and see it as the observer, not as you. Again, we cannot release that which we do not acknowledge. So see it, acknowledge it. And if you are ready, thank it. For it has brought lessons if we look higher, deeper, and wider enough. There's something that has come into your life because of it. You may not have seen it before. But again, since we cannot release that which we do not acknowledge, if we can step into a place of even gratitude, and I understand for some people that may not be possible right now, it's completely okay. But if we can set that as an intention to eventually get to that place of gratitude and truly feel that at a soul level, then a sustainable release can happen. So, as the observer, we look at this thing that we want to release. We see it for what it is. We thank it for what it has brought to our lives. the positive that has been brought to our lives. And understand by being grateful and by being thankful, that doesn't mean you're asking for more of it. That's the dichotomy of this whole thing, is that in order to release, we have to see it. And when we don't see it, when we don't acknowledge it, it cannot be released. So we see it, we acknowledge it. The highest level of understanding is gratitude. And if we can get to that place of gratitude and deep thanks, we can also say to it, I am a sovereign being, and all that is allowed in my field is that which is of the highest light and love. Anything less than that, anything less than that that intends on being in my field, because of the law of sovereignty, because the law of the universe is instantly raised to its highest vibration, sent back to source, and transmuted into love. I'll repeat that. We may need to say it a couple of times in order for it to be integrated in the body, but I am a sovereign being. Anything, all that is allowed in my space is that which is of the highest love and light. Anything less than that will be, by the law of the universe, sent back to source, raised to its highest vibration, and transmuted into love. And allow that to flow out of your body. Allow that to resonate with every cell in your body, that truth of sovereignty that you are. And now that we have seen this thing for what it is and released it back to source, released it to be transmuted into love, see if your body feels lighter. See if you feel uh, a deeper connection to self. And ask for the perfection that we are to come through. Ask for this divine light to come through our bodies. If you need to imagine it coming through the top of your crown all the way through your body and connecting into your heart. And before it moves from this heart, allow it to cleanse and clear everything that is around it. The lungs, the rib cage, even parts of the body underneath the diaphragm that are close by. And imagine a vortex of energy coming through and connecting the tip of it at your heart. And as this vortex rotates and creates its own momentum, imagine that it is clearing away any other remnants, any other energetic negativity that exists within your field. Imagine it being completely cleared away. And as it gains momentum and grows, feel your sacred, your solar plexus coming together with the heart. The solar plexus is basically right below your rib cage right there, and it's this literally the center of our bodies, physical center of our bodies. And imagine it creating a beautiful ball of powerful energy that is just growing and growing and growing, warming us from inside. The heart and the solar plexus, that which assists in manifestation, are coming together in this powerful ball of love, light, and joy. As this beautiful energy grows and grows, it becomes a star. a quasar. Imagine a beam of light shooting up through the top of us and a beam of light shooting out through the bottom. And this star at the center of our beingness is here to transmute anything that does not serve us, anything that does not serve the highest love and light. Allow that energy to move through you. And now, as this momentum is moving faster and faster within us, allow it to continue down to the earth. This beautiful, purified energy, this essence of who we really are. And with this newly activated heart, this new centerpiece of beingness, from this place, we send that love and that peace and that joy down into the earth to be sent and shared throughout all of humanity. Just allow that to move through the body and heal that which is called to be healed. For as we are healing ourselves, we are sending out a beautiful healing energy to the cosmos. This is the sovereignty that you are. This is the truth of who you are. This is love in its rawest form. This is peace in its truth. Mm. As we allow this energy to continue moving through our body, let it go as long as you'd like it to. And when you're ready, pull back that energy back into that quasar. Put your hands over your heart space, and feel into the concept of embodiment. Feel at a cellular level what is altered in your body because of this newfound connection. And allow that to be yours. Allow that to just be held within the deepest level of who you are. You are loved, you are protected, you are supported, and legions of angels, saints, avatars. Mm. They are here at your command, ready. Embody that. Whenever you're ready, you can maybe move your fingers a little bit if you'd like to come ground a little bit more. Just allow that energy to just twinkle around you for a little bit. That is you, and that is what you have access to 24 hours a day at any given moment. That is who you are. That is what you can say that you rightfully own. That is what's going with you when you're out of this body. And that is what identifies you and makes you unique. and makes the people who love you remember you and find you in other lifetimes if you believe that, if you align with that belief system. I thank you all for being here. I am so grateful for your time and for your openness to hear this. I know I went quite a bit longer today than I intended to, but I'm so grateful for all of you. And I hope that you'll come back tomorrow and the next 20 days to come. Um, I know the angels and all the avatars are very excited to talk to you. And each of these crystals have a lot of stories to tell you about. So I thank you all for coming. I invite you to be back here tomorrow. Like I said, if you want to go to the information below has all the different contacts, but lifesremission.com has a lot of the links, and also the link tree, linktr.ee. It is correct the way it's there, / Lisa Soul. You can find me, but I love you all. Peace and blessings to all of you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.